Today's sketchy endo takes us inside the sugar factory, a place where everything has gone wrong because of one thing: too much sugar. Imagine a big industrial building that was once a well-oiled machine, but the sugar levels went out of control and now thick syrup is dripping from every pipe, coating every surface, jamming every piece of equipment. That thermometer on the wall, it's buried in the red, that's hyperglycemia. And those rats sneaking in through the cracks, those are bacteria, and they're about to have the run of the place because the factory's entire defense system is compromised. Now look at the center of the factory floor, where three security guards are supposed to be defending against those rats. Guard number one, he's stuck. Both boots are sunk into the sugar on the floor and he literally cannot walk toward the intruders. That's impaired chemotaxis. The neutrophils can't migrate to the site of infection. Guard number two made it to his post, but look at his hands, enormous oven mitts coated in sticky sugar. A rat is sliding right through his fingers. That's impaired phagocytosis. The neutrophils reach the site but can't effectively engulf the bacteria. And guard number three, he's got a flamethrower but the nozzle is plugged solid with hardened caramel. He pulls the trigger and gets nothing but a sad puff of smoke. That's the impaired oxidative burst, reduced intracellular killing even when bacteria are engulfed. Now notice the character standing off to the side, the French sailor in the striped shirt and beret. That's de la Mer, like de la Mer, man of the sea. De la Mer et al. In 1997 documented all three of these neutrophil defects in poorly controlled diabetic patients. He's checking them off his clipboard: chemotaxis, phagocytosis, oxidative burst. All three compromised. Now move closer to the factory wall and look at what's happened to the surfaces. The original wall is barely visible. It's covered in thick, dark brown caramel crusts. This is our symbol for ages: advanced glycation in products. And the connection is perfect. Caramel literally forms when sugar is exposed to heat over time. That's exactly how ages form in the body: glucose reacting with proteins through non-enzymatic glycation, accumulating over time. See that old radio receiver mounted on the wall? It's completely encased in caramel. That's the RAGE receptor, the receptor for advanced glycation in products. Follow the wires from that radio up to those massive alarm speakers. They're blasting at full volume. That's the NF-kappa B signaling pathway being activated. And the result? Look at the workers below, they're losing it. One is throwing a wrench, that's TNF-alpha. Another is hurling a pipe, IL-1 beta. A third is kicking a six-pack across the floor, IL-6. Pro-inflammatory cytokines, all upregulated because of age-rage signaling. And notice that leaking pipe above, dripping fresh sugar syrup directly onto a guard's badge and earpiece. That's hyperglycemia directly glycosylating immune cell surface receptors, gumming up the communication equipment in real time. Step outside the factory and look at the access roads. These used to be wide, clear highways, but hardened caramel has built up on both sides, narrowing them to barely a single lane. That's microvascular disease. In poorly controlled diabetes, the small blood vessels become thickened and narrowed, and this creates the delivery problem. See those two trucks stuck in the passage. The first one carries antibiotics, the second carries reinforcement guards, immune cells. Neither can get through. This is why endodontic infections in uncontrolled diabetics are so hard to treat. Even if you prescribe the right antibiotic, it can't reach adequate concentration at the periapical tissues because the microvasculature is compromised. Now notice the inspector examining the blockage. The man in the tweed jacket with the enormous bifocal glasses. That's Fuad, and those bifocals are your memory hook, Fuad's focus. Fuad and Burleson in 2003 showed that diabetic patients had significantly higher prevalence of periapical pathology. He's documenting that when the delivery system fails, infection wins. Back inside, and things are getting worse. Look at the factory walls. They've been reinforced with cross beams, but those beams are made entirely of hardened caramel. That's collagen cross-linking by ages. Advanced glycation in products form covalent crosslinks between collagen fibers in the periodontal ligament and periapical tissues, making them rigid and brittle. See how the cracks are spreading. Those beams look solid, but they shatter under stress. And through those widening cracks, rats are pouring in by the dozen, increased susceptibility to periapical infection. Now look at the construction crew trying to repair the damage. One worker's trowel is stuck in sugar. Another can't open his toolbox, it's glued shut. A third is trying to mix repair material, but his bucket is full of sugar syrup instead of cement. That's impaired wound healing, decreased fibroblast function, impaired angiogenesis. The whole repair apparatus is compromised by the hyperglycemic environment. And circling overhead, that eagle in the orange security vest. That's our secure eagle, Seguregia. Seguregia et al. Published a systematic review and meta-analysis in 2012, confirming what the eagle is tallying from above. Diabetic patients have a significantly higher prevalence of apical periodontitis. The data is clear from every angle. Finally, step into the control room. This is where everything comes together. See that big gauge on the wall? That's the HbA1c meter, and the needle is buried deep in the red zone, way past 7%. When that gauge is in the red, everything we've seen happens. The guards fail, the roads clog, the walls crumble, the rats take over. And look at the scoreboard, the failure rate is high. That's the clinical reality. Endodontic treatment outcomes are significantly worse in uncontrolled diabetics. Now notice the figure standing beside the scoreboard, the puppeteer with the marionette strings. That's Marotta. Marotta et al. In 2012 showed that periapical lesion healing is significantly worse in diabetic patients. And those marionette strings running from his control bars down to the factory floor. That's the key insight. Outcomes are literally controlled by glycemic status. But look at the small picture in the corner, the same room, same gauge, but now the needle is in the green zone below 7. And through the window, the factory is clean. The guards are working. The rats are gone. That's the board-critical takeaway. Well-controlled diabetes mellitus approximates normal endodontic outcomes. Control the sugar and the factory runs again. So here's your mental walkthrough for the exam. The sugar factory. Hyperglycemia overwhelms everything. 3 bumbling guards, chemotaxis, phagocytosis, oxidative burst, all impaired. De la Mare, the French sailor, documented all 3. Caramel crusts are ages. The caramel-coated radio is rage, wired to alarm speakers blasting pro-inflammatory cytokines. Outside, narrowed roads are microvascular disease. Fuad with his bifocals showed the delivery failure leads to more periapical pathology. Inside, crumbling caramel crossbeams are collagen cross-linking. Seguregia's eagle tallied the damage in a systematic review. And in the control room, Marotta the puppeteer shows that outcomes are tied to the HbA1c gauge. Red zone means failure. Green zone, the factory works again.